They kicked me out of the house for my brother, who did nothing, and now they want me to pay for everything. I never thought I'd be kicked out of my own home. Not like this, anyway, not with yelling or slammed doors, but with silence and a carefully practiced indifference. Mom stood by the doorway with her arms folded, staring at me like I was some stranger who'd overstayed their welcome. Dad didn't even look up from the TV. His eyes were fixed on a game he probably wasn't even watching. "We've talked about it," Mom said. "And we think it's time you find your own place." It wasn't a suggestion. It was a decision, wrapped in polite phrasing. I was 21. Still finishing my last semester of community college, working part-time at an electronics store to cover my books and gas. I wasn't the type who stayed out late or brought trouble home. If anything, I made myself as invisible as possible, especially once Jake moved back in. Jake. The golden child. My older brother by 3 years and the reason my parents barely remembered I existed. He'd been gone for almost 4 years, chasing dreams, racking up debt, and getting into situations he never talked about in detail. Then, one day, he came home. No questions asked. No consequences. Mom set up the guest room for him, which used to be my study space. Dad reinstated his old car insurance. Jake didn't even unpack his bags, he just dropped them in the hallway and helped himself to the fridge like he never left. And suddenly, I was the outsider. Again. It started small. Little things. Jake would leave dishes in the sink, and somehow it was my fault. I'd come home from work and find my charger missing, and Mom would say, "Just share with your brother, stop being selfish." I couldn't even play music in my room without someone telling me to be considerate. Jake, meanwhile, played video games all night, shouting into his headset, and no one said a word. Then came the bills. "Hey, can you pitch in a little more this month?" Mom asked one night over dinner. Jake was across from me, shoveling food into his mouth. "You're working, and we're trying to support your brother while he gets back on his feet." I stared at her. "I already pay rent." "Only $200, she said, as if that was some kind of insult. "That barely covers groceries." I paid my part. Always did. But it was never enough. And then, just like that, they told me to leave. "Just pack your things," Dad said, finally looking up. "It's time." I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just nodded and went to my room. My hands shook as I pulled clothes from drawers and stuffed them into a duffel bag. My textbooks barely fit. My laptop charger was gone again, probably borrowed by Jake, and I didn't bother asking for it back. No one helped me carry my things. No one asked where I'd go. I ended up crashing at a friend's place for a few nights, sleeping on a pull-out couch that creaked every time I breathed. The apartment was small, hot, and smelled like old pizza. But it was quiet. Peaceful. That first night, I lay there staring at the ceiling, asking myself the same question over and over: how did I become so disposable? They didn't call. Not even once. And I didn't expect them to. But 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed with a message from Mom. "Hey. The electric bill came. Can you take care of it? Jake isn't working right now." I stared at the message for a long time. The electric bill? As if nothing had happened. As if I was still living there, still a part of that house, still obligated to shoulder their burdens just because Jake was figuring things out. I didn't reply right away. I turned the phone over, set it on the floor next to the couch, and closed my eyes. The buzzing started again 20 minutes later. "Can you please answer? It's due soon." That word, please, used to mean something. Now it felt like a transaction. A tool, not a courtesy. When I finally responded, I typed only 2 words: "Can't help." No explanation. No apology. I knew if I gave them even a thread, they'd pull it until I was back in the same role, responsible for everything they didn't want to deal with. I got a thumbs down reaction. That was it. For a while, things were quiet. I stayed at my friend Mike's place for another week before I found a small studio apartment. It wasn't much: peeling paint, a leaky faucet, and a radiator that hissed like a snake, but it was mine. The silence was real. The air didn't feel heavy like it did at my parents' house. I still went to school, still worked my part-time job. It was harder now, rent was tight, food tighter, but I felt free in a way I hadn't before. Then the calls started. First, it was Dad. I almost didn't pick up, I hadn't heard his voice since the day he told me to just pack. But curiosity got the better of me. "Hey," he said. You doing okay? That was unexpected. I'm fine, I said carefully. He cleared his throat. Listen, your mom's been stressing about the water bill. It's gone up lately. I think your brother's been taking really long showers or something. You think you could? I hung up. Maybe that was cruel. Maybe. But the truth is, I'd spent my whole life being reasonable. Being the kid who understood. The one who never caused trouble, who cleaned up after others, who got straight A's without anyone noticing. Jake could crash a car and they'd say, well, he's going through something. I missed curfew by 5 minutes once and was grounded for a month. It was never fair. But I never expected fair. I just wanted enough. Enough love to feel secure. Enough attention to feel like I mattered. Enough respect to feel like I wasn't just a backup plan when Jake failed again. That's the thing about being the responsible one, people stop seeing you as someone who needs anything. They only see what you can give. And I was done giving. Over the next few months, they kept trying. Little things. A message here, a voicemail there. Always about bills. Always about Jake. Never about me. He's having a hard time adjusting. He's looking for work, but nothing's panning out. We're all trying our best here. Were we? I didn't remember them trying much when I needed a quiet place to study for finals. I didn't remember them trying when I had that terrible flu and Jake hosted a party downstairs. I didn't remember them ever asking me how I was doing, unless they needed something from me. I began saving screenshots. Not for revenge, just for myself. Proof that I wasn't crazy. That I wasn't exaggerating. That I was right to walk away. The final straw came in March. Jake called. I don't know how he got my number, probably from Mom. I almost didn't answer, but his name lit up the screen, and something inside me wanted to know what he'd say. Hey, bro, he said, like we were close. Like nothing ever happened. Look, I know things have been weird. But, Mom says you might have some money saved? I didn't say anything. I mean, just for a few weeks, until I get a paycheck, he continued. You know how it is. I hung up. This time, I blocked his number. Then I blocked my parents too. It hurt. More than I wanted to admit. I still had nights where I'd reach for my phone and feel that old instinct to explain myself, to fix things, to be good. But I didn't. I went back to focusing on school, on work, on living in a space where I didn't feel like an extra. And for the first time, I started to feel real peace. That is, until I got the letter in the mail. I found the envelope in my mailbox wedged between a coupon flyer and an electricity bill. No return address. The handwriting was unmistakable, Mom's. That careful cursive I used to see on birthday cards and school permission slips. I stood in the hallway, fingers hesitating on the flap. My first instinct was to toss it. Let it sit unopened, like a wound that's better left alone. But curiosity, or maybe old habit, won out. Inside was a folded sheet of lined paper and a single photocopied bill, gas this time. Past due. The letter was only a few sentences long. We're struggling, and Jake's still trying to get back on his feet. If there's any way you can help, even a little, we'd be grateful. He's your brother. Please don't abandon us. No dear. No love. Just those clipped, desperate lines and the lingering scent of her hand lotion. I sat down on the edge of my mattress and read it again. Please don't abandon us. The irony hit me so hard I laughed, bitterly. They abandoned me. They made it clear, Jake was the priority, the center, the one they'd bend and break themselves to save. I was the one who made life easier and easier to ignore. Still, the guilt snuck in like smoke. It always did. Years of conditioning, of being the fixer, the reliable one, the invisible son who held everything together. Even when he was gone, Jake's shadow stretched across every hallway of that house. And now it was trying to reach me here, in this little studio I had built with no help and no apologies. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and replayed every moment I tried to earn something from them. Not money, not even affection, just acknowledgement. Just a seat at the table. But I always knew, deep down, that Jake was their chosen one. I didn't respond to the letter. I didn't send money. Instead, I started journaling everything, every memory, every injustice I had buried under excuses. Like the time in high school when I won the regional science fair and came home bursting with pride, only for Mom to say, "That's great, but can you help Jake with his driving test? Or how they sold my old bike to help cover Jake's textbooks after he dropped out of his second college. It wasn't just favoritism. It was systematic erasure. A rewriting of our family narrative where I didn't matter unless I was helping him. About a month after the letter, I got another message, this time through Facebook Messenger, from a cousin I barely spoke to. "Hey, just wanted to let you know your mom was in the hospital last week. Some kind of panic attack. Thought you should know." I sat with that message for a long time. What was I supposed to do? Rush over and play the concerned son again? Pretend the last few months and years hadn't happened? I did nothing. And I felt awful. And I felt free. The next few weeks were quiet again. I finished the semester. My job offered me more hours. I started putting real money into savings for the first time in my life. I even started seeing someone, a girl named Tara, from work. She was kind, curious, and asked about me like she genuinely wanted to know. It felt strange at first, being seen. Being listened to. Then came the knock. It was a Saturday morning. I was cleaning the kitchen, blasting music, feeling good. When I opened the door, I thought maybe it was a neighbor, or someone dropping off a package. It was Jake. He looked rough. Not the charming, smooth-talking version of him I remembered. This Jake had shadows under his eyes and unwashed hair. He was wearing one of Dad's old jackets. "Hey," he said, like we were friends. I didn't say anything. He rubbed the back of his neck. I didn't know where else to go. And just like that, the past was at my doorstep, asking for another second chance. He looked so lost standing there. For a second, I almost didn't recognize him. Jake had always carried himself like he owned the room, with cocky smile, loose swagger, like life would work itself out if he just waited long enough. But now he looked smaller. Shrunk by reality. "I just need a place for a night or two," he said. I didn't move. "You don't have to do anything," he added quickly. "I'll sleep on the floor, I swear. Just..." I didn't want to be out there. I should have closed the door. I should have said no and walked away. But I didn't. Because despite everything, some part of me still wanted to believe he could change. That maybe, just maybe, we could be brothers in more than just name. I let him in. He dropped onto the floor like his legs couldn't carry him anymore and let out a long, shaky breath. I offered him a glass of water and he took it with both hands, like he hadn't had one in days. We didn't talk much that day. I didn't ask questions, and he didn't offer details. He fell asleep before the sun went down, curled up on a blanket I tossed him, snoring softly like a kid again. But peace didn't last. The next morning, I woke up to find my laptop open on the kitchen counter. Jake was sitting in front of it, a browser tab open to a job search site, but he wasn't typing. He was scrolling aimlessly, yawning between clicks. "You looking for work?" I asked, trying not to sound accusing. "Yeah," he said. "Just trying to see what's out there." But by noon, he was watching videos. By 3, he was napping again. By evening, he'd eaten half the groceries I just bought and left the bathroom a mess. "Look, I know it's tight here," he said that night, lounging on my only chair. "But maybe I could stay a few more days? I'm getting back on track, I swear." I said nothing. "You're doing well now, right?" he added. "You got your own place, a job. I'm not asking for much." And there it was again. That quiet entitlement. That assumption that I would fix things. That I owed him something just because we shared blood. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake him and ask him where he was when I was working double shifts and eating instant noodles to survive. Where he was when I was sleeping on couches and checking the balance of my bank account before buying toothpaste. Instead, I said, "You've got one more night." He didn't argue. But he didn't leave the next morning. Or the next. By day 4, I came home from work to find him wearing my hoodie, feet up on my table, playing with my gaming console. He barely looked at me. That night, I told him he had to go. "Seriously," he said. "After everything? After I came to you for help?" "You came here because no one else wanted to deal with you," I snapped. "Not because you care about me." He stared at me like I'd slapped him. But he didn't deny it. He left the next morning. Said nothing. Took the blanket, my hoodie, and the last of my cereal. That was the last I saw of him. A week later, I got another letter from my parents. This one was longer. Full of anger. Accusations. How dare I turn away family? How could I be so ungrateful, so cold, so unlike the son they raised? I burned it. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilt. I felt clarity. I didn't hear from them for months after that. No letters. No calls. No social media messages. Silence, like I'd finally been written out of the story entirely. And strangely, it felt like freedom. I finished school. Got a full-time position at the store, then moved up into management. My little studio became a one-bedroom. Tara and I started making plans, travel, maybe even moving to a new city. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just surviving. I was building something. But family has a way of pulling you back in like gravity or quicksand. It was a Sunday when the knock came again. This time it was Mom. Alone. She looked older. Tired in a way makeup couldn't hide. Her hands were folded tightly in front of her like she wasn't sure what to do with them. "I won't stay long," she said. I nodded, stepping aside. She didn't sit. Just stood there, eyes darting around the apartment like it was too small to hold her regret. "Your father's in the hospital," she said. "Heart issues. They're not sure how serious yet." I said nothing. She looked at me like she was waiting for the old version of me to kick in the fixer, the emotional sponge. The kid who never said no. But that kid was gone. "I thought you should know," she said finally. "I thought, maybe you'd want to see him." "Did he ask for me?" I asked. She hesitated. "No." I nodded. "Jake?" She looked away. "Still at home," she said. "Still trying. But it's hard, you know? He's not like you." And there it was. The confession. Small, clumsy, too late, but real. He's not like you. I don't know if she meant it as an apology. I don't know if she even realized what she was saying. But for me, it was enough. "I hope Dad gets better," I said. "I mean that." She nodded slowly. "I'll let you know how it goes," she said, and stepped back into the hallway. "Take care of yourself." And she was gone. That night, I sat on my balcony with a cup of coffee and looked out over the street. The city buzzed below, horns, music, life. I thought about everything they had taken. My peace. My place. My trust. But I also thought about what I had now. Boundaries. Space. Self-respect. They wanted me to carry the weight of their choices. To solve problems I didn't create. To keep giving, even when I had nothing left. And for a long time, I did. But not anymore. They made me feel like I owed them for simply existing. For being the other child. The spare. But the truth is, I owe them nothing. And maybe one day, they'll understand that. Maybe not. Either way, I'm free now. Thank you for watching the video, like it if you watched the video to the end and don't forget to subscribe. Have a nice day.